You wouldn't build a house without a foundation, so why try to build a business without one? Grow your contracting business and grow your mind with Growth Mindset Monday.
All right. Welcome back to the show. Slowly but surely, we're transitioning to the office. I finally got my mic set up here, which I'm kind of excited about because the audio comes in a little clearer for each of you. Well, welcome to another beautiful Monday, now halfway through the last month of 2024. Isn't it crazy to think that just a few months ago, you were wondering what 2024 was going to look like, and here you are at the end of it? The only thing that I've learned in life is that you can't control taxes and you can't control time. So enjoy it while you got it, right? Be more present. Well, today I really wanted to talk about one thing in particular, right? And that is this concept of the end of the year. Now, before we get into that, if you're here joining us live, you know the drill. Drop your name, your business name, and where you're from so we can give you a shout out in the comments. And by the way, we in full transparency, have not done a really good job of advertising or marketing this training, but stand by for next year because it's going to come in hot and heavy. And there's going to be a lot of contractors inside of here, a lot more training, and a lot more opportunity for each of you. Justin and I have been working on some things behind the scenes and figuring out how we can add more value to you and ultimately your business and your life. Ground Fog gave us the hand wave. We got Daniel says good morning or afternoon, I should say. Noble Custom Glass and Mirror checking in from the mobile office. We got Chad Cranville Construction in Southeast Indiana. Daniel's like, someone got their hair lined up this weekend, looking clean. Yeah, I finally found a good barber, which you wouldn't think because I don't have a ton of hair, right? But like, it's really hard to find a good barber. And this guy's been doing it for years. His name is Oscar, and he owns Oscar's Barbershop. But I walked in on a recommendation from his brother, actually, who was a contractor. And I started talking to him. We spent an hour. I've never been in a chair for an hour, by the way. We spent an hour, he's trimming me up, cleaning me up, talking about, family and life and whatnot. So really good conversation. If you're in the Salt Lake area, I got a shop for you. But appreciate that. So here we are, mid-December, December 16th to be exact, right? We've got 2 more weeks till the end of the year. 2 more weeks. Tick tock. And it's funny. Maybe not funny, but from my perspective, it's funny sometimes to see people try and scramble the last bit of the year. Scramble, right? They scramble to try and get their books in order. They scramble to try and get their revenue where it needs to be. They scramble to try and do this and do that. And they scramble. Man, that life sucks. It does. The go wing it strategy. I used to be the king of it. Card carrying member, right? And I'm so tired of the wing it strategy. So tired. Because do you get things done? Sure. But more often than not, man, it drains you physically, emotionally, mentally, and doesn't ever really get you where it is that you want to go long term. How do we combat that then? Well, before we do, I'm going to go ahead and give these few more folks a little bit of a shout out. We got Michael, BMF Services, Charlevoix, Michigan, fence contractor. Welcome to the show. We got Dylan from Elevation Outdoor Services in Northern Kentucky. Funny, we were actually talking about Kentucky this morning with a cabinet designer that I have. She might have a federal job in Kentucky. She's like, I could find some people for work in Kentucky, right? And I was like, I think so. Don't know. Never been there. Looks pretty though. We got Carlos with Concrete Solutions in Cleveland, Tennessee. Welcome to the show. And we've got Mohammed, I cannot pronounce your last name, Abu Rabi. I think I pronounced that right. Welcome to the show. Now, we talked about this wing it strategy, right? And in some way, shape, or form, there's a piece or part of your day or your week that you're going to wing it. Why? Because we all do. We all wing it, right? We got a late shower here. I got to give him a shout out. Chase from Chase Construction in Walla Walla, Washington. I have been there before. I think they got a lot of fruit, if I remember right. Pretty good spot there. So the just wing it strategy. Okay. Now, what is the just wing it strategy? The just wing it strategy is you wake up and you immediately look at text messages, phone calls, you look at emails, right? And your day is dictated not by what you want to accomplish, but by the biggest fire that you need to put out, which sometimes has to do with a client, or sometimes has to do with an invoice, or sometimes has to do with an employee, or sometimes has to do with sales or marketing, right? It's random. And it's impossible to grow a business when you are constantly dealing with the wing it strategy, right? What's the fire that's going to roll in? And you're just staring at the door going, okay, well, here we go. And there it is. All right, Johnny didn't show up today. Okay, so Johnny didn't show up today, so now I got to make a phone call and get somebody in, and I got to reschedule that job, and then and it just starts, right? And the end of the day, you're like, whew, man, that was such a busy day. Except it wasn't productive anyway. How do we overcome that? Okay. Now I'm going to give you some strategies that you can use. Here's the kicker about these strategies. We're running 2 workshops between now and beginning of January. The first one is the 30th and 31st, and it's meant for contractors doing $50K a month or below. It's here in the office, and it's these strategies that we're going through. Okay. The second one, Justin's coming. He's going to be one of our guest speakers. It's going to be in Park City. That's for our bougie clients, our higher end clients. But we're spending 2 days together, and we're doing this at a much deeper level. But the concepts and the principles are the same. So whether you're just starting out, you're doing 20 grand a month, you're doing 150 grand a month, you're doing $1 million a month, all the principles are the same. So we're going to go through those principles. Okay. Now we're at the end of the year, and the unfortunate part with the end of the year is most people spend their time thinking about the next year instead of focusing first on what happened the previous year, right? We all know the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I'll pause for dramatic effect because you're like, damn it, he's right. So if we don't want to be stuck in the cycle of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, another year passes, revenue's the same, employees are the same, jobs are the same, nothing's changed, then we have to look at what happened. We have to look at the good, we have to look at the bad, and we have to make a game plan based on that information, based on that data. Now, if you would have known me in high school, if you would have known me in college, if you would have known me when I worked as a police officer, you would have been like, this is not the same man talking. And you'd be right. I'm not the same man. Remember, I used to be the card-carrying member of the Just Wing It Society. And I used to think that that was a good thing, right? One of the things that I love the most about being a police officer, oddly enough, was never having 2 days be exactly the same. Never in my entire career did I have 2 days that were exactly the same. And for some reason, I learned to crave that. Instead of realizing that, hey, they could not be the same, but everything that I do still functions the same. Kind of hard to think about, right? Now, what does that have to do with your construction business? Well, it's the same thing, right? You can crave the quote unquote variety that the job provides, that the trade provides, that the economy provides, that politics provide, that insert the blank provides. You can crave that all day long. But is that actually going to take you where you want to go? What I learned a long time ago is you have to fall in love with the boring stuff. The boring stuff. Planning, it's boring. Tracking your numbers, boring. Having a hiring process, boring. Having a sales process, boring. Right? I can go on and on and on. Boring, boring, boring. But if you fall in love with the boring fundamentals, you will succeed in business, period. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek, in fact, with a buddy of mine who's also a contractor. He's a developer as well. We're creating a management company for trade contractors, and we are starting that up here soon. And I'm going to document that thing. I'm going to document it from zero to wherever we end up with it, because we're actually building it the way every business should start off: policies, procedures, processes, people. Right? Because I want to show you what it looks like on the other side. Right? Now, for you in your business today, I'm going to ask you, and go ahead and drop it in the comments. 2024 for you was fill in the blank. Yeah, I get it. We're December 16th. But if you haven't done it by now, you're not going to do it. So 2024 was blank for you and your business. Go ahead and drop that in the comments, and I'll read them off. Now, as you're doing this, I want you to think about the year as a whole. not the highs and the lows. Some of you guys are in the cold weather states and it's a little slow now, and you might be tempted to say slow. Some of you are in warm weather states, Texas, Arizona, Florida. Things are still rolling, right? But your business as a whole this year, one word to describe your business. Now, as I'm waiting for these comments to roll in, I'll tell you a couple of answers that I've received from some existing clients. In fact, we just had a cabinet designer and installer in the shop. And I was like, if you were to describe your year, what would you say? And she's like, well, she said, busy. And I was like, busy? What does busy mean? And she had to pause for a minute and think about it, right? Because we like to make decisions based on what? Emotions, not facts. And the emotions will tell you that it was whatever it is in the moment, right? Now, was she busy? Yes. But when we actually broke things down into the data, right, we found out that she was productive year over year, 25% growth. That's a pretty big growth. She hired her first full-time employee. Awesome. She's looking at hiring a second designer. Even better, right? So if you look at the facts, it changes your perspective on things. Well, Daniel's been the only one who decided he wanted to take a stab at this thing. So we'll go with him. Daniel says, business, another effing year of the same crap, right? Crazy when you think about it. Then he says, personally, massive growth and learning. It's beautiful, man. And you're right. Now, the question is, though, what are you doing with that learning? Because we all got an education, at least until high school, most of us anyway. I got a college degree. It's sitting in a box somewhere in my basement. But it's not the piece of paper. Justin's laughing at me right now. It's not the piece of paper that matters, right? It's what you do with that education. I will tell you this about Justin. We got on the phone on Friday and he blew my damn mind talking about AI and technology inside of the construction space, which we will bring you some of that information. But he's a pretty smart dude. Michael Babbitt says busy. All right, busy. That's good. But is busy the same thing as productive? Maybe, but probably not. So what is it we should be focusing on? Okay, end of year. I'm going to give you 5 things that you need to focus on. Number 1, you need to review and refine your processes. Now, I'm going to put that little asterisk there that says some of you don't have any processes. So this doesn't apply. So for 25, you probably need to start to create processes. But if you have some processes, you may have a marketing process, a sales process, operations. You might have something. If you do have processes, now is the time to review your processes. Did they work? Did they not work? What do I need to change, to adapt, to modify so that in 2025, it actually becomes a strength instead of a weakness? We've got Elevation Outdoor Services, learning, needing structure to grow. 100%, man. You're right. You can grow willy-nilly, but that's not predictable, or you can grow with predictability. Man, I just made that up. That actually worked pretty good. Justin, make sure we put that on a meme somewhere. All right. So again, review your existing processes. If you don't have any, then you don't have any. If you do, review them. Now, what kind of processes should you have? I know we're talking about review, but what kind of processes should you have? Number 1 is a marketing process. Now, this doesn't mean you have everything lined up, but by marketing process, I mean identified who you want to work with, identified how you're going to market to them, identified where you're going to market to them. For most of you, that's going to be shaking hands, kissing babies. Some of you guys are going to do flyers. Some of you guys are going to do door knocking. Some of you guys are going to do Facebook ads. But whatever it is, that's a marketing process. Okay. The next one you need is a sales process, right? What do you do to qualify a prospective client? What do you do to close a prospective client? What do you do to follow up with a prospective client, right? Very basic sales process. The next thing, the good old operations. You sold the thing. How do you do the thing? For some of you, again, it's outdoor work. For some of you, it's remodel work. For some of you, it's fencing. But there's a very particular way that you like to do things. Document it. Document it so that it gets done the same every single time. Finance. Oh, everybody loves finance, and I'm going to talk about finance. But you got to be elite at tracking your financials. You got to be elite at understanding your financials. And if you're not, you're going to have issues. Okay. And then the last one is your team. Everything from hiring to training and accountability. Okay. You got to keep those things up to date. All right. What's the next thing? The next thing is your financial health. Okay. If you budgeted for the year, what did you budget? Did you actually come in where you said you were going to budget? What about money in the bank account, right? Were you profitable this year? Did you actually put money away for taxes? Yes, you do have to pay taxes. We all do. We may not like it, but we do. Okay. The third thing, your team. Were you happy with your team? Were you unhappy with your team? Were you happy with some people and unhappy with others? Where did you end up when it came to your team? So you can complain all day long about Johnny not being the right guy. But if Johnny's still on the team, that ain't Johnny's fault. That's yours. So where you at with your team, right? Review your team, strengths, weaknesses. Do I have the right people? Do I have them in the right seat, in the right spot? Have I taught them the right things? The next thing, sales and marketing. Ooh, sales and marketing. Everybody loves it, right? What did you do this year to generate business? Did it work? Did it not work? Some of you work on referrals only. Congratulations. If you're not at $1 million, that's because you're only doing referrals. Okay. What do I need to do to market my business? What did I do to market my business? Did it work? Did it not work? My deals that I closed this year, did I actually close enough deals? Or did I not? Did I miss deals because of my process? Things like that, right? Review your marketing and your sales. The fifth and final one is what's coming up, right? What am I doing to prepare for next year? So for example, with all my clients, we have 2 years left in the rest of the year. What am I telling them? I'm telling them, what do you need to do between December 16th and December 31st to catapult you into 2025, to prepare for 2025? For a lot of them, it's getting their numbers and their things up to date, right? This understanding of like, do I have my things where I need them to be? If I don't know my numbers, my budgets, if I don't know my numbers, my marketing dollars, if I don't know my numbers, my closing rate, how can I set realistic targets for 2025? You can't, right? So it's super important for you to prepare for next year by doing a review of this year. I know it's not super sexy. It's not very exciting, but I will tell you that by doing it, your year next year will be way better than this year ever was. You can't be afraid of the things that you need to do to grow. You can't. Everybody wants more leads, but nobody's willing to do the work to get more leads. If you want more leads, you need to do the work to get more leads, which starts with a marketing plan. That's right. Everything that we're talking about is everything that we've used. Let's see. I think I did the numbers the other day. I think we've helped contractors generate, in the last 7 years, I think north of $200 million. $200 million by falling in love with the fundamentals, the boring stuff, the simple stuff that if you do well, will ultimately help you create the business that you want. So in these last 2 weeks of the year, my challenge to you is to find the things that you need to do to help propel you into next year, which are going to include a review, which are going to include an honest assessment of you as a leader that will then allow you to realistically plan out your next year. Now, next week is Christmas, so we won't have a call. Following week, we'll probably have a call. But ultimately, what I want you to understand is that in order for you to succeed at the level that you want to succeed, it's going to require you to do things different than the way you've been doing them. And the only way to do that, look back and figure out what you do well and what you don't, and fix those things. Now, if you are we'll call it 7-figure entrepreneur, or you're doing close to 7 figures, we are having a workshop. I'll put this here on the screen here. We are having a workshop in Salt Lake. Well, I should say Park City in the Snowy Mountains on the 6th and the 7th. You can send an email to hello@contractorplus.app, and we got a special discount for you. So if you're interested in joining us, we'd love to have you and be a part of the family. All right. Well, that's all we got for you guys. You know what time it is. It's time to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off you go.